Thanks a lot, China. How do us farmers recover from China fucking us over? I'm out here cutting soybeans today, and I don't even know what the point is. These are some of the best soybeans I've ever seen in my life. And it's like, hey, I got a great soybean harvest this year. Look, there's nothing we can do with those golden yellow soybeans. Guys, gold yellow soybeans are what China buys the most, and China is the only country that buys golden yellow soybeans. But guess what? China said, nope, we're not buying your golden yellow soybeans this year. You need to figure your shit out, China, ASAP.
So American farmers who were once proudly waving the MAGA flag are now waving their hands in distress.
American farmers have destroyed themselves.
$68 billion. $68 billion is how much that Donald Trump gave the farmers for a bailout between 2019 and 2020 as a result of his first trade war, his first term. $68 billion. Are you ready to give $68 billion again just to farmers while you are living paycheck to paycheck because we have the worst president in history who doesn't know simple math? $68 billion. China is the #1 buyer of soybeans in the United States. Last year, it was almost $13 billion that we sold. Money from China. Are you ready to give $68 billion to farmers? Your taxes haven't gone down. In fact, the national deficit is skyrocketing. We have cut any social services for you, the taxpayer. There are no more social programs for kids who can't even buy lunch. You should all be asking, is this a Trump failed economy? And at what point do we pull the plug on this?
And we're the ones that have to bail them out. Trump breaks something, blames someone else, and then we have to fix it with our taxpayer money. And now China's getting their crops from Brazil. How does this make sense? China has won the war. China won the trade war. End of story. God, I miss Biden.
Here we go, another episode of Unbelievable USA. Now, United States is complaining for the first time in 20 years. China hasn't bought a single soybean from US autumn harvest, not even one piece. Now, why are you so worried?
Farmers across the country have started going on TV and complaining, 1, about Donald Trump's tariffs, 2, about the trade war with China, and 3, that they're not able to sell their products. Specifically, soybean farmers who are looking at losing $300 per acre of crops this year. So on a 1,000-acre soybean field, they're looking at losing $300,000. That's because China has not put in an order for soybeans in this quarter alone. They haven't put in an order of soybeans from American farmers since April, which means there's nothing being sold from the United States to China when it comes to soybeans. Where's China going? To Argentina, to Brazil. What's the United States doing? They're bailing out Argentina to the tune of $20 billion while ignoring farmers in the United States. And these farmers are now saying, we don't want a bailout. We need a trade deal. Because since Donald Trump's first term, our profits are down 50% because he keeps screwing with our trade to foreign countries. We need Donald Trump to actually uphold his promises and quit screwing around. We need him to stop telling us that he's going to give us back our money, the money we spent on tariffs. We need him to keep his word, to make a trade deal, and to quit screwing up our free markets.
What if the buyer doesn't come back?
Let me give you some tips. Use it yourself. You can learn how to use soya sauce. You can make soya sauce, okay? And soya oil, yeah, vegetable oils we call. And then you can make tofu. And then you can make soya bean milk. So at the same time, you can bring down your inflation. Okay, it's going to be much cheaper than you buying milk in supermarket right now, or or you import your soya sauce. Just do it. Don't be lazy.
If what you want is a trade deal, why would you start a trade war? And not just by anybody, but by somebody who wrote The Art of Deal. And not with anybody, but with a country who wrote The Art of War. Define a bully. You cannot get my best chips, but you have to buy my soybean.
If soybeans were a slap in the face, then rare earths are a bullet straight to the chest. China just announced new rules on rare earth exports, the minerals crucial for making everything from smartphones to fighter jets, and this time the new rules closed the loopholes that once allowed some of these materials to flow illegally to the US. Yes, US doesn't have a chance now. Well, just because China can restrict rare earth exports doesn't mean the US doesn't have any. The America actually has plenty. The real problem is refining them. These elements are so chemically similar that separating them is extremely difficult. For a very long time, China had the same issue. It used to sell raw rare earths cheaply, then buy back refined ones at hundreds of times the price. And that changed in the 1970s, thanks to the Chinese scientist Xu Guangxian, known as the father of China's rare earths. He invented an extraction method that could separate and purify rare earths efficiently. Since then, China has become the world's rare earth powerhouse, producing about 60 to 70% of the global supply. And here's a fun fact. The US once dominated this field. For the later half of the 20th century, Mountain Pass was the world's main supplier of rare earth metals until it shut down in 2002. When the US-China trade war began in 2018, China's export controls forced the US to reopen the mine. But even now, the materials still needs to be sent to China for processing. Now with Trump back in office, Washington is again trying to rebuild a rare earth supply chain, even looking to places like Greenland and Ukraine for mining deals. Then you know why. I'm Kelly Tom, bringing you a new perspective. Talk to you later.
America sounds like a horror town in the movies. Let me explain something, man. It's evident right in front of you. You'll see it right here on TikTok. Listen to this. I saw a lady on TikTok crying about the price of food, right? She said food is so expensive and she barely has gas to go back to work next week. You understand? She also said that if given the opportunity, she would vote for Donald Trump again. And she's not alone. A lot of people in the United States of America will do the same thing. If given another opportunity, they will vote for Donald Trump again, even to the cost of their own life. That's how dumb they are. So yes, there are a lot of idiots living in the United States, more so than sensible people. You understand? And indeed, it is like a horror movie, because what modern country shuts down the entire federal system over healthcare for human beings? What country does that? Which modern country on earth shuts down their entire federal system because they don't want to give healthcare to people? You dig what I'm saying? You see this government shutdown? It will cost the country billions. Each second will cost America billions per second. Not to mention the days. And now it's in the second week. You understand? It is a horror movie. If you have a place that's allegedly the richest place on earth, and there are people on the internet crying about the cost of food and that they don't have gas to go to work, it is telling you that the system is broken somewhere along the line. Broken, not slightly broken. You understand? What billionaires have figured out is that there's a lot of dumb idiots in the United States, and they capitalize on those opportunities. You understand? By harnessing their votes, taking position as power in politics, and doing worse to them. A lot of these MAGA supporters, they remind me of the people who climb Mount Everest. They have the same mindset. MAGA supporters and people who climb Mount Everest are the same type of people. They know that there's a high chance of death. You understand? But still, they do it anyways. You dig? Those are the same people who will walk on hot coal They'll walk on hot coal and expect not to get burned by the hot coal that they're walking on. Same thing with people who climb Mount Everest. They climb that shit and they know their bodies that litter Mount Everest. Bodies litter. They're so cold the bodies can't even decay up there. They literally walk by and walk past bodies going to the peak of Mount Everest. MAGA supporters are the same thing. They know the man they elected, what type of character he has, the type of person he is. They know who he is. They know about Project 2025. And they still support it anyways. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it seems like a horror town in the movies. Because if you come down to the ground level of things, it really is a horror movie. Really is. It's a horror town in the movies. Where in the world do you see cops pepper spraying other cops? Like what happened in Chicago the other day. Federal agents pepper sprayed local police, tear gassed them. Where on earth does this stupid shit occur? Where in the world does one police agent pepper spray another police agent or tear gas them? Where on earth does this happen? Where? You see what I'm saying? Where in the world do you see people chasing down people, federal agents beating them, zip tying kids, and doing all this type of dumb shit? It is a horror movie. And there are people in America who are supporting this dumb shit. That's how dumb some of them are. They're really stupid people. And there's no nice way to put it or sugarcoat it. The fact is, a lot of Americans, more than less, are dumb as shit. You can't sugarcoat it, you can't put it nice. You understand what I'm saying? They support this dumb shit that's going on. And on the internet crying about the price of groceries when you put yourself in that predicament. You did that. You see what I'm saying? They're stupid. Dumb. And now they're going to be like, oh, how dare you say that? Because it's the truth. How do you want me to say it? How? How do you want me to say it? I say it as I see it. That's it.